I've received several emails asking me for clarification on what would be considered a good cue and what would not be considered a good cue. If you buy your cue at Walmart or Kmart or the Dollar General or any place like that, it's probably not going to be a quality cue. Do not buy a cue with a screw-on tip. Buy a cue that has a ferrule, not a screw-on tip. Buy a cue with a decent, or if you buy an extra shaft, buy one with a decent joint. Chances are that if it's a brass joint, it's not going to be a very quality cue. Some high dollar cues do have brass joints. That's the trademark of the person who's making them. You can get on eBay, you can find yourself a cue with exotic wood, but you got to be careful of what you buy. Sometimes the finish coat and the epoxy or the glue they use to hold the inlays in the turning process is not really of high quality. And after 6 months or so, the cue will end up warping, your inlays will start popping out. So you have to be careful of who you're buying it from, what the reputation is, and what the quality of the cue that you're actually buying is. So unfortunately, I do say, yes, in the case of buying a cue, please do buy a brand name. Probably the cheapest brand name out there that produces a semi-good quality cue is, like I said, a player's cue. It's a cue that'll get you started and get you on the right road. Eventually, whenever you start playing more, you'll wind up buying a cue with a higher name or a better quality name in the market. Either a one of one type custom-made pool cue, or you could go with a production cue. It doesn't matter if it's the production cue or the custom-made cue. They're made the same way. You're paying for the inlays, just like I said before. But don't buy a cue with a screw-on tip. Don't buy a cue unless it's preferred by the cue maker itself with a brass pin. Some people do prefer a brass pin, but when I mean brass pin, I'm talking like a cheap brass pin to where that you can damage with your fingertips. Buy a cue that lines up correct. Your shaft should not have varnish on it all the way up. Your varnish should end about this far up the shaft, and then the rest should not be varnished. You should be able to burnish this wood right here. And again, no screw-on tip. Do not buy a cheap Walmart cue or anything like that. And please, for God's sakes, do not buy a soft case. Soft cases are probably the worst kind of cases you could probably get. This is a soft pool cue case. Do not buy a soft pool cue case. I don't care whose name is on it. Buy a hard pool cue case. Again, you saw the one that I brought out before. It doesn't matter if it's a $15 case or a $300 case. Buy a hard pool cue case, and like I said before, ensure there's room in the tip to where no pressure is being put on the cue with the case fully closed. And that would include with the joint protectors on the cue. And hopefully I've clarified everything. Joint protectors, it doesn't matter if it's plastic or custom wood. These are custom snake wood joint protectors. It doesn't matter if they're plastic or custom wood as long as they do job. Unlike me, where as long as they fit and they do the job right, use them. But again, don't buy a soft case. Don't buy your cue from Walmart. I hope this clarifies anything that the emails were about. And tips, play with different type of tips, whether it be a Mori, a Talisman, Sniper, whatever you want. Play with different type of tips. Find out which one that you like the feel of. But the butt of your cue, no Walmart brands, no Kmart brands, no Sears brands. Player, if you're just starting out, a player's cue, a stealth cue, a scorpion cue. Get a little bit better, go with the Falcon, or move up to a Joss cue or a Mucci cue. Something high production, good name that is known for quality and known for not warping. But I hope this clarifies everything.